In our nation, there are many areas where a lot of green plants could be found, but there are also some areas where there are little or no trees. Planting has been encouraged by most officials in the nations, and they have given their reasons why. They want more people to start planting, and giving this environment we live in a more beautiful touch, apart from the fact that it comes with other advantages. They explained that in some areas, the only reason why the weather is too hot and there's nothing for people to do about it is because there are no trees and there are no structures which provide shade. Speaking to one official in the Ministry of Agriculture, he expressed that people don't pay particular attention to planting because they think it's something that's for only farmers. But he explained that it is the responsibility of every individual to plant something in or around his home. He also explained that there are places where there are no trees at all because people want to make the areas look very modern. But he added that there cannot be a very beautiful modern area without a touch of green leaves and trees. Planting is encouraged not only because of the shade they provide, but because these trees are of a lot of benefits to people and to animals as a whole. One way these trees are good to us is that they absorb the carbon dioxide and other toxic gases that are released into the atmosphere. What these plants do is, after receiving and taking and absorbing all these toxic substances, these substances are then converted into oxygen and are released by the plants. These plants are part of the reasons why we enjoy good oxygen in and around our homes. Another thing to note is that these trees and these plants are also beneficial to our animals and even to those animals which we don't own. While some provide a place of rest for some birds, there are some which are actually nesting grounds for most flying animals. Also, these trees are able to produce certain leaves that are good for some of our cattle, our goats, and other types of animals and livestock that are reared by shepherds. But many people see planting as an old thing, and that is where the problem is. If you have a house without a tree in it, you can make sure you plant at least 1 or 2 trees to help you have a good environment and a beautiful serene atmosphere at home. Also, if you have enough space in front of your house, you can do some lawns, get some beautiful shrubs, or just have some sort of flowery plants that will not only beautify the place but add some essence to the environment. And if you know places that are suitable to be good for planting of trees, you can do well to plant some trees. Neem trees are an example of good plants that provide shade and are beneficial to our environment. But many people like to complain about heat without seeing that we all contribute to the fact that the heat which we have been complaining about has been destroying us, and we have a hand in it. Do you know what it would mean for every place and every city in our nation to have enough trees? Do you know what it would mean for every place that doesn't look like it's going to be inhabited to have trees? You see, when all these rumors and news about the depletion of the ozone layer comes into our ears, we are not happy about it. But sometimes there are things we can do to reduce these types of effects and to make it well with us in our homeland. When these trees are there, they are able to form some form of canopy, not only for the shade, but also from some types of things that could be coming from the airs onto the lands. But aside speaking about these ones that provide shade, there are also the main importance of trees which we have not looked at. The fruit-bearing ones. Maybe you might not think you would be hungry enough to have to plant a fruit tree, but you never know what would happen in the future. It is true that you can always get a fruit from any supermarket or any shop nearby to purchase, so there might not be the urgency to plant a fruit tree. But what would it mean for you to have a fruit tree in your house in a time where you need one, and for example a pandemic that has struck the city or the whole nation or the whole world has caused a lockdown and people cannot move out to go and purchase certain fruits like they used to? This is where those who have fruit trees in their homes will be glad. Remember, nobody knows what's going to happen in the future, and some of these things are a way to prove those types of events that may be uncomfortable. Also note that these fruits have good sources of vitamins and other types of minerals that are needed for us to have not only a balanced diet but a general well-being in our bodies. For those of us who leave home early for work and come home late, we only get a chance to eat the foods that we purchase outside. That is, if we don't carry food to the workplace. And depending on your location, sometimes you may not have the chance to purchase the types of fruits you need. Prepared foods may be around, but you might not find fruits and vegetables in every corner. You may not find certain foods that are rich in some of these minerals that prevent a lot of diseases. And this is where planting a fruit tree can come in handy. It is good that we would have some trees in our vicinities, in our workplaces, and in the motherland as a whole. People's focus have been on building big mansions and making sophisticated buildings that they see and learn from the Western culture. Well, this is good and not a bad thing, because it's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong to admire luxury and the good type of life and advanced type of living. We shouldn't neglect the fact that some elements cannot be left out. Apart from the fact that these trees are good for shade, for fruits, and for the animals, they are also good to stop certain dust from getting to us in our workplaces and in our homes. When these trees grow and their leaves are broad and their leaves spread out to different places, they serve as dust protection when the wind blows dust all around the environment and leaves it to settle. What the tree does is, as the dust settles, the leaves attract them and catch them and reduce the amount that may be blown on our surfaces, our vehicles, and on ourselves. So you see, there's more to trees than just fruits. Another thing to also note is that sometimes when some strong winds come around to blow certain things on our premises which have no weight, these trees are able to serve as windbreaks because the wind will have to hit them before getting to those materials. We have seen many examples in the past where when the wind was blowing, people's ceilings and roofs, aluminium, and all these types of zincs that people use on their stores and on their kiosks were moved up and flown away from the stores. In several places, before a rainfall, the wind and the weather becomes very boisterous. And where these roofs and these ceilings and zinc types of roofings have been used, they are not sometimes fitted strongly, and there are some that are even fitted properly, but though they are, the wind is stronger than them, and so it lifts them up and flies them away. Now, why are we talking about this? This is where planting is encouraged. 2 reasons. Number 1, when the wind blows like that and there's a tree right in front of such a roof, which is easy to be lifted up by the wind will have to hit through the tree that is by this structure before getting to it. And because of that, the force that the wind will perhaps use to lift this zinc ceiling up and these types of aluminium roofings up will be reduced, and the force will not be that strong. Reason number 2, in case the trees are not near the structures and one of these roofs are lifted up, what happens is they are carried into the air until the wind leaves hold of them and then they drop down. This is where planting will be encouraged. In areas where such zincs are landing, it will land on the trees, and this would prevent certain injuries from occurring. In the past, we saw some roofs that were lifted up and they were flown up into the air to very far places, far away from the structure on which it was lifted on. Now what happened was, as the wind blew it around, they landed on certain people and cut them severely, making them to bleed instantly. And we've even heard of some which happened to certain children which bled to death, because at that particular time nobody could help them to locate the nearest hospital since it started raining all of a sudden. So you see, if a tree was near such an individual, this roof that was lifted up could have been prevented from hitting such an individual. Now, apart from all these, another reason planting should be encouraged is it helps the soil. There are some soils that are not made well and are bare and too hard, but when such plants are made to be situated in these areas, the land will be tilled and it will be good for the soil. What happens is, sometimes there are some areas that could be made good in soil, but because nobody does anything about them, they become as bare and hard as if they are going to be used for making roads. But we could make a difference by planting in such areas. And also think about it. Wouldn't it be so beautiful for us to see green in every part of our surroundings? When you think about how these trees complement the design and the architecture makeup of the places where we go to, you will see the importance we are talking about. They are just so beautiful, and their aesthetic values help to make the place bright and lively. We have seen that we should plant not only because we are farmers, but because it's necessary too. So for the listeners, we would advise that you find a way to plant one or two things in and around the places you dwell in. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.